So it happened on November 13th, 2025. HUD issued an unprecedented change to the fiscal year 2025 COC Program NOFO. And many of you are like, what is that? That is the funding that is available to permanent supportive housing that allows for them to pay for their programs year after year. And they've just set history. For the first time, they've placed a 30% cap on permanent supportive housing. Now, what this means is something that is very real. We're going to have communities that have been dependent on permanent supportive housing to keep people off the street suddenly just not be able to renew thousands of their units. So, today, first of all, I want to welcome you to Live for Free, where we transform lives through real estate. And today, we're going to hit this topic dead on because I need you to understand what this is going to do for you as a person who's interested in transitional housing, how it's going to impact our communities, and for those of us who are and are not ready. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Now, for those of you who don't understand what that means, we're talking about more than 170,000 people who could lose supportive housing. That's individuals who are getting long-term needs met, families, seniors. You're looking at people with disabilities, people who are finally getting a start to stabilize. Those programs will no longer be funded. They will not be renewed. And communities across this country already are scrambling. They were already dealing with the issue of homelessness with the population that they had. Now we've got this additional crisis that is about to hit our communities. And you got continuums of care that are being forced to make decisions that they've never had to make. And now, once you see the gap of services we already have happening right now, it's going to widen. That is the impact that is about to happen across this country. Now, I do want to say there have been states that have been filing lawsuits against this action happening. But we already know where we are right now and how those things are not always working in the favor that they need to. So now you've got communities and continuum of cares that are now scrambling, trying to figure out what they are going to do. I was just on a call with our community listening to some of their plans, and all I kept hearing in their conversation was how they're going to utilize transitional housing. Now, many of you listening to me right now probably got excited about that. I didn't. Why? Because I see a lot of people who are not ready for what is about to happen. I know what can happen when you don't have a program that's set up right. I know what can happen when you are just doing housing and not addressing the other issues. I know those things. So where people who are in this space and they may be doing independent living and they're just putting people in houses, they're getting excited about this. To me, there's nothing to be excited about that if you do not know exactly how to do this well. I'm watching people who are flooding into this space saying, ooh, how much money am I going to make doing all this wonderful stuff? And they don't have a clue about how to do this right. And that's why you're seeing more and more situations of people jumping into this that are now running into, they're hitting the wall. Things are happening because they're just setting up a building and not understanding the people that they're serving. They're setting up a building, but not thinking about what is it going to take to give them what they need. They're setting up a building, not understanding how even if they're zoned properly. They're setting up buildings for this type of housing that's about to happen that I don't see being well if it's not set up well. So I say all that to say that this is more than a shift in policy. It is a turning point. We are seeing things we've never seen happen before in permanent supportive housing where they're now capped. and we're going to see people who are going to fall through the cracks. We're going to see shelter demands that are going to explode overnight because people don't have anywhere to be. You're going to see streets lined. If you think you see streets lined now, you're going to see streets lined with people who don't have housing. So the sense of urgency is here to do the right thing now. And as I think about even the providers, like I'm grateful to the providers across this country who've been doing this work a long time. I know a lot of them personally who have amazing programs that they've set up that now have to figure out what they're going to do next. Their safety net is gone because they've relied on state funding for everything. And now that that's gone, and federal funding, now that that's gone, what do they have? That's why I teach you guys different. We do this with zero funding from the government. What we build is a systematic way to build something solid that can sustain the test of time when things like this happen. They didn't. And so I don't even want to use the word fearful of what is going to happen, but I have a sense of urgency about me now to make sure that people are watching me right now, are hearing that there is a solution, but time is now of the essence. Like, you've had the luxury, those of you who've been following me up to this point, you've had the luxury of listening and, oh, that sounds great. I've been thinking about it. You've had the luxury to build. So I'm hoping that those of you who've are building, we're building, because now you're going to start seeing the need for you now. And I don't want you falling into a trap that's going to set you up for failure. I want you to be set up for success going forward in what it is that you are going to build. So as we talk about transitional housing, and it is critical more than ever now to have a solid transitional housing program in place that is going to meet needs. Now, I had mentioned earlier about independent living. Nothing wrong with independent living. I want to just clear the record. I'm not saying that independent living is wrong or making sure that housing is set up for people who are going to be homeless, because I would rather have them in an independent living program than out on the streets worrying about how cold it is outside or how they're going to sleep at night. So hear me when I say I'm not against independent living, but when you don't know how to build this well, because you can build a beautiful independent living program. I've done both. I've done independent living. I've done boarding houses. I've done residential care. I've done assisted living. I've done housing, shared housing. But transitional housing is needed now as you think about the ways in which we help people stabilize individuals and transform, because you can't keep people forever in that space. You want to help people be able to fully become who they are supposed to be. That's why I love transitional housing. I speak positively about that particular space because I know what it can do. And so when you've created that well, it can give communities two things that permanent housing cannot give. And it is structure and speed. So we can do that. We can give structure and we can give speed to communities when this crisis really hits, where permanent housing we don't have. When was the last time you saw something that was affordable for the individuals that we serve? It's not. So to talk all day long about giving people permanent housing, I would love to. Show me the affordable housing within that model. We've been bottlenecked for years, and now we're going to be even further bottlenecked because of this that just now happened with HUD. So I want you encouraged to know that we can help you get the structure that you need, because the way it's set up, the routines, the expectations, even some of the relationships that we have that provide the case management and the accountability, that's all that we provide in transitional housing. So we can do that. And when you're you have it set up right, you can do it quickly because you already done the research to make sure that you're zoned properly. You made sure that everything is properly positioned. So that's why it's the speed. Everything is right there. It doesn't require as much to have that in place. I was looking out or talking to somebody who was saying that they were going to put together a LIHTC property. LIHTC is limited income. It's a limited income. LIHTC property allows you to come in and not have a lot of income to come in and get in there. Tech properties are amazing. I'm not an expert in that, but when you can do that, that's amazing. But you know how long it takes to put that together? It takes years. We don't have years. This just happened, and they're going to start doing it now. So quickly being able to understand what you can create in transitional housing to build a net, because now a net has to be built for those individuals so that they don't end up out on the streets like the ones that we already have. And hopefully we can identify enough operators who want to do this work and get into the space and do it well to where we can help alleviate some of that pressure. But it's not for the faint at heart. I'm letting you know that right now. People who want to get into transitional housing, I need you getting into it for the right reasons. Because if you get into it just for the money, and people are wondering, where's the money coming? Why can't they use the money here? You just have to be creative in how you create that money to make this program successful. That's what I spend time showing you how to do. Showing you how to build your layers of funding so you're not relying on grants and HUD and programs like that to sustain what you're building. We have a base that sustains, and then you build on it. Get you grants, get you funding. It can be done, but it requires someone who is truly a compassionate investor, somebody who really wants to get into this space, who you've been preparing for this moment right here. You've been watching me, you've been creating programming, you've been taking the time listening to my replays on YouTube. You've joined my school community, by the way. If you've not joined my school community, this is probably the best time to do it now. TonySchool.com. That's TONISKOOL.com. You can come in for free just to take a look and see. But when you get in, come prepared to go a next level. That premium level is going to give you your biggest bang for your buck. It's only a few dollars a month to start learning. Listen to the replays that I make available there that you don't get here. Here on YouTube, you get a snippet of me. But in our school community that's private, you're going to get training at the premium and VIP levels that is going to blow your mind. Now, at the free level, you'll still get training. You just got to be ready to go live, because you get the training live. You do not get the replays. But join my school community so we can help you get into this space and learn how to build something that is going to be substantial, impactful, and build legacy for not just you, but also for the people that you are teaching this work to. So, as you prepare, this is the moment for people like you who are compassionate investors. You're purpose-driven leaders who have been preparing for this moment, and you're ready to step into that moment at this divine time, because there's not a better time than now, because your community needs you. If I can say that again, your community needs you, because you're going to start seeing the impact of these caps that have been placed on permanent supportive housing. And I want you to be prepared with the right things that you need. Because I'm going to tell you, just because your cities need you, the counties need you, even the continuum of care needs you, just because they need you, you need to be prepared for who you can serve. And this is the part that I need you to fully understand, is when these individuals no longer have housing, and they need to come somewhere, it does not mean you have to take them. And hear me well. That's why knowing who you're serving is critical. You might have a need to serve women who are dealing with domestic violence, okay? And then this happens. And then you got an individual who has mental disabilities or disabilities that are challenging, that are now losing housing. Can you bring them into your program? It doesn't make sense. So I want you prepared with where your why is at and who you are being, not just because the need is there. So just because someone needs housing doesn't mean you need to take them into your housing program. So that's why knowing up front who you're working with, not just trying to fill a need that's out here and you're going to get yourself in a position that you're not going to be able to handle. I remember when we ran the shelter a few years ago, and I loved that work, by the way. I still love that work. I still keep up with several people who were in our program. But I'm going to tell you, they were dealing with some heavy stuff. And my compassionate heart, I wanted to help them all, but I couldn't, because I wasn't called to help them all. I was called to see the need, to see the greatness of the need. When you run a shelter, you get everybody who need that, as long as it's like, if it's a women only shelter or a family shelter, whatever, we got everybody. We did families, we did it men, we did women, we did it all. And in that space, I got a chance to see what people were dealing with. That's some heavy stuff. People were dealing with some heavy issues, not on their medication, dealing with mental illness, dealing with drug addiction, dealing with all of that stuff. So I don't want you becoming a provider of transitional housing, taking on everyone, okay? That's why getting in here right, let's get you set up right, let's get you prepared for who you can take, and then now that we know who you'll take, you get to then filter out and get the people who you're meant to serve in your program. Does that make sense? That's where I need you. So I know I spent a lot of time talking about that because I need you to fully understand how serious this is. And I'll probably make this a two-part series or two-part episode because this information is critical that you must get so that you're prepared for doing what's next and where we are going as a nation around homelessness. So hopefully you got some good notes there. I want to encourage you today to take action if you haven't yet. And in the next episode, we'll look specifically at some questions that you need to ask yourself. So stay plugged in. If you've not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and do so now and click the notification so you can be notified for our next episode. So get out here and transform this world that you live in, transform your life, and let's get out here and change it. And so it is.